And this is day 7 of Scarin, and today we're talking about Jeepers Creepers. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you... We're talking about Jeepers Creepers from 2001, written and directed by Victor Salva. It's starring Justin Long and Gina Phillips. And were there any other recognizable people in this? It had a pretty big cast, and it's made recently enough. I thought there may be more people. I just didn't happen to notice who they were.
Yeah, actually, the African-American lady that could
Like
see
the
into the
psychic
future.
lady?
Yeah, she was, I believe she was the principal in Good Luck Charlie on the Disney Channel. She was like, what? Yeah, she was
did our
very
kids
familiar.
used to watch that?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, I mean, that was like 10 years after this movie was made, so, I
Because
mean,
I
it's
think
been
there
a while.
was also a movie or something called Good Luck Chuck, and that's what I was thinking of when you say Good Luck
No,
Charlie,
Good
which
Luck
is
Charlie.
very different. Let's see, the executive producer on this seems kind of like an odd choice, but it is the same person who brought the world the Godfather trilogy. That's Francis Ford Coppola. What do you think about that combination? Francis Ford Coppola and Jeepers
Interesting.
Creepers.
He's a big name director.
Real
Yeah,
big
like
name.
for something like this, but I mean,
But he didn't direct it. He's just the money man. He's who
Yeah,
made it happen. It was
maybe.
his baby.
you like the story.
It was made for a budget of $10 million, and the box office brought back 59.4. So that was a pretty good return,
Yeah.
right at 6 times the budget there. So I think that's why we did end up getting a Jeepers Creepers franchise.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen any Jeepers Creepers movies at all before this. So before we go any further, before I risk just jumping out and saying a lot of really cool things about this movie, or at least things that jumped out to me, I want to give everybody a spoiler warning. I just want to say that I can't talk about movies without talking about every little single dirty detail. Can't talk about TV shows without doing the same thing. So if you want to go make sure you check out Jeepers Creepers. The movie's only 24 years old, and sometimes it takes a while to get around to things. Go watch it, then come back and finish this video. Or just do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not your dad. Are you ready for my big synopsis? This one was tricky because there's a lot to say, and then there's a lot I don't want to say in a synopsis. I don't want to just spill out all the beans, but just tell me what you think of this. A brother and sister cross paths with a ruthless killer on their way home from college.
Sure. Yeah.
Any notes on that? Anything you would add or subtract?
No, I think that's fine.
Now, it's clear that they're a brother and sister.
Yeah.
But they're both going to the same college, and they seem pretty close together in age. And at one point, I thought maybe I heard a reference to them being twins. Are they twins?
I thought maybe so, but I think he might be a little bit older than her, just from some of the conversation that they had.
Like maybe 3 months older?
No. Anyway.
I've been saving that all day long, and you
No.
didn't even leave it alone. I was like, at about noon today, I thought that up. And I just been rubbing my hands for 10 hours because I couldn't wait to unload that on you.
The dad
And that's
jokes,
the laugh
Lord.
that I get. Do you remember the first time you saw this movie or how you discovered this? Was this a college era thing for you?
It was, yeah.
So pray tell us
I
more.
may have even seen this in the theaters when it came out. I loved it. I just really this is one that I have watched over and over and over again. I think I've watched 2 and probably 3, but I didn't know that there's like a 4 and a 5 and all the rest of them. And then the Reborn one I just discovered the other day, and I tried to watch it last night, but I fell asleep watching it. But so I'll need to go back and watch it again. But there's nothing like the first one. I just feel like, like some of these other movies that have the big franchises like Saw and stuff, everything is just so original with the first one, and then you kind of expect there's just this expectation of what's going to happen in the ones after that. So it's never as good as the first one. So.
With just a few exceptions too, horror franchises always seem to get a little bit worse with every movie.
I agree.
And there are some exceptions there. Nothing's universal, but it just seems like as a good rule of thumb, they kind of dip down a little bit. Or a lot of times what will happen is the first movie snuck up on people, so they get a whole lot of money, and the second movie's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But then they don't have any ideas for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, 13th movie.
But it's all the same idea, so there's no element of surprise to it. So
Well, like I had said earlier, this was the first time I'd ever seen it, but I'd heard lots of cool things
This is
about
the
it.
first time you saw Jeepers Creepers?
Yes.
No way. I know you've
Yes.
seen this with me.
I have not.
Oh my gosh.
And
this is
I've had
one I've probably watched 20 times or more.
well, I've had plenty of recommendations to see it, and I've heard things that are interesting. I even heard somebody say, hey, it's kind of a Mothman movie, not to get too far ahead of our discussion here.
A little bit.
But I just never had a proper occasion to actually sit down and watch it. So this gave me one.
Oh, that's crazy. That's good. Then
yeah,
hopefully you have a lot to say about it.
I know, and that's one of the reasons I like doing reviews like this for
Yeah.
YouTube and podcasts and stuff, is it gives me an excuse to watch something. And sometimes I'm afraid, what if I watch it and I don't like it? Well, if I don't like it, I'm still going to talk about what I didn't like. So it makes it easier. But here is what I found out on a little bit of my research. If you don't mind if I share, is that okay?
No, go ahead.
So apparently this was loosely inspired by something that really happened. There was a guy named Dennis DePue. He was a murderer in Michigan, Coldwater, Michigan. And the story goes that there were these siblings, a brother and sister, Ray and Marie Thornton, happened to be driving along or something, and they saw DePue, who got their attention from some kind of an on-the-road incident. You know, they had a little bit of a road rage between them. Well, they later drove past and recognized him, and he was getting rid of a blood-soaked blanket behind an old schoolhouse. And he saw that they saw him, so he chased after them in his car for a couple of miles, and then they managed to lose him. The siblings, after they lost him, went back to the schoolhouse. They found the blanket, turned it over to the police, end of story. But that is a whole lot about the setup for this, right?
That's true. I mean,
that was more detailed than my synopsis.
Yeah, I think it probably was like inspired by that. I think maybe they read about it in like just a newspaper article, and it just kind of stuck with them, and then they added all the extra stuff to it.
The Silva guy who wrote and directed this, he said that the story had spread to him word of mouth, and some of the details were wrong.
No.
But I also think it's odd that if when it was told to him and the details were wrong, that he corrected the details in his plot.
Yeah.
Because he said he always thought that story was about an old man and his wife and not about a brother and sister. But anyway.
Well, what's funny is like when I started watching Jeepers Creepers Reborn, the beginning was an old man and his wife in the car. So maybe they went back and was like, okay, I really want to like do something a little different.
Cover all my bases.
Right, exactly. So.
Now, the writer and director of this, that guy, Victor Salva, he had an unfortunate past. Do you know anything about this guy?
I have no idea, no.
So he directed a movie that was produced by Francis Ford Coppola in 1989. So that's how many years before this? 11, 12 years? Yeah.
12 years.
And while this guy, Victor Salva, was directing that movie, it turns out that they found video evidence that he had been taking advantage of an underage actor.
Oh.
And he went to prison for 3 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Gets out of
and
prison.
And he worked with him again?
Yes. So a lot of people criticized Coppola for that.
Well,
and
yeah.
Coppola also said some people pulled their financing, which I totally understand, but what do you think about Coppola for sticking with this guy and doing this anyway? Because as you said, you love this movie. You've watched it about 20 times, but I'm going to guess it's the first time you heard about this guy.
Yeah, I didn't know that about the director or about Francis Ford Coppola, but it kind of reminds me of, who was that director that has like fled America because of some underage stuff?
Roman Polanski.
Yeah, so it's kind of like maybe that's a thing. I don't know. That's really weird.
I think it's really weird, and it
probably
probably was a thing. I don't know that it would happen today. I don't know that somebody of Francis Ford Coppola's stature would give somebody a second chance like that.
Underage, though, like, did it say, like, how underage?
Oh, it said the specific name of the person in the article I read. It's a known actor who was in this movie. Like, it was a public case.
Actor or actress?
It was an actor. It was a 14-year-old boy, I think.
In
Clown House, not this movie, in 1989.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. And it was a 14-year-old?
I don't quote me on that. I can't remember now. It might have been 16, but it was a young boy who was an actor in that movie.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
my goodness.
And not only did he do it, but he videotaped it, and the police found the film.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah,
Gosh.
so it's not even like he can deny it.
Oh, Goodness.
All right, sorry,
I'd have
man.
thought
That
he'd have
is
been
not
banned
what
by
anybody is watching
Hollywood
this
for a while. Now you've like totally made me like,
nobody is watching this for that kind of talk, but I thought
no,
I'd get that
that's
out front.
awful.
Well, somebody,
Gosh.
if you don't know it now, you're going to find out when somebody comments it in the comments, and then you don't want to have to go back and backtrack and say, well, I didn't know that. So now you can. Okay, now you know it. Now, after I gave you that beautiful downer, we watched this right after we watched Silver Bullet. And Silver Bullet had a brother-sister lead. And this also has a brother-sister lead. So I want to ask you, as the only person here who's ever had a brother-sister relationship, I want you to tell me what you think about the dynamic here, because this is very different from the dynamic we got in Silver Bullet.
I liked this dynamic better. I think it was the age gap and the age in the other one, the 11 and the 15. They didn't really have a whole lot in common, but because these were either twins or they're really close in age and they go to the same school, the banter back and forth in the car reminded me of like my brother and sister and the kind of things that we would say to each other where, you'd say, I know you are, but what am I? And then they just kept going back and forth, and I was like, okay, this is familiar.
Yeah, that reminded me of our kids, too.
Like, well, and when this came out, I was the age of these people, like, in the story, so I could really relate to it. So I really felt like they had a close relationship, especially when they were talking about the relationship that she had just ended, I guess, and he was telling her that it was, really bad for her and all that stuff.
And they've got that whole frenemy thing down from the beginning, where it's like they're really they say I hate you and I want to kill you, but they also, how are you doing? I care about you. Know what I mean? It really feels sincere instead of like the flip flop of relationship we saw there in Silver Bullet.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if there's anything else to say about it other than the fact that they're not only are they closer together in age, but they're also older at a later stage in life than Silver Bullet too. Yeah. So by the time you're in college, you are a little more. You're
like more real with your. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It is a different dynamic than when you're got an elementary school kid and a high school kid in the same family, like we had briefly.
Right. And just the way they treated each other, I think, just like you said, where it was like a love-hate thing. I mean, they really deep down cared for each other and didn't want to see the other one get hurt or whatever, but then they weren't afraid to tell him like it is or pick on him or insult them or something.
Yeah, so. They seem to have such a close relationship. That's another reason I thought maybe they were twins, because it seemed pretty spot on for that. This was filmed in Central Florida. I don't know if the movie itself ever mentions the fact they're in Florida, but boy, you can tell it.
No, it doesn't. I think they're supposed to be out west somewhere.
Well, when they're stopping under, are those cypress trees? What do you call those big, characteristic trees with the Spanish moss kind of growing on them?
It's probably called a Spanish moss.
Because I know there's a scene where he's taking a pee out under the tree, and I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but then I felt like I had to go with it this time.
It did kind of look like it was somewhere maybe South Carolina-ish, a little bit, but
It had almost a further south look. I mean, it really looked to me kind of like when I drove through some less populated parts of Florida around this time. It would have been around 99, 2000 when I was driving from Gainesville out to some other places when I was interviewing at the University of Florida. So,
well, it said Ocala was where it was filmed at, and my dad and I drove through there on the way to Tampa. And so I was trying to see if any of that looked familiar, some of these little side roads, but that road actually, when I saw a picture of the road now, because I did look it up, the main drag that they were on looked like a long stretch of just empty highway. That part versus what it looks like now, and there's still, it's grown up a little bit more. It actually looked like over in Ohio when we go to Gallipolis, that way. There's one part where there's a straight stretch and then it has a big curve, along the river, and there's a lot of farmland and stuff right there. That's what made me look it up to see where it was filmed, because I said, surely this wasn't filmed right down the street from us, because I would have known that if it was.
Rio Grande or somewhere?
No, it's between Proctorville and Gallipolis. There's a stretch that's just one long stretch and just a big, big curve that's maybe 2 miles wide.
Well, the reason I was asking you a little bit more about that, though, is I kind of feel like if you're going to do a movie like this in Florida, why not go into the Everglades and the more swampy land, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I think you strike on something that they probably wanted it to feel like anywhere USA.
Yeah.
And
I
once you
felt
get
like
into
it
the
was more
swamps,
like Midwestern, or that's what they were trying to do. And
definitely felt that way. Like they were driving past farms and stuff. But
and the big the Four Winds, like Winnebago, car that was in front of them at the beginning had an Arizona license plate. So I just assumed that it was like way out there.
oh, I didn't
somewhere.
even pay attention to that.
Yeah, I look at little things like that sometimes.
How do you think they got that old truck to go so fast? Like, what do you think in general? What exactly kind of truck is that the creeper drives?
I'm not sure, but I feel like I have seen those kind of trucks around here before. Just a really old, like, dairy truck or something.
I was almost wondering if it was like an old version of an armored car, like what you would take to banks in the 1950s or something, like what Al Capone's gang would rob.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know.
But,
I
man,
thought
it was all
just an
covered
old
in
farm
plate
car.
metal.
Yeah.
Big old box truck with a round front and plate metal, and that thing has to weigh like 4 tons. And I have no idea how he gets it to go so fast.
The guy is an artist. Like, I'm sure he's like figured it out,
Because, they're in, I think it's an old Ford Fairlane. I'm not sure what they're in, but they're in like an old.
Oh, they have a beautiful car.
Yeah, they're in like an early 60s car with fins on it and everything. And I'm thinking, that thing is a convertible, ragtop, top down. It probably doesn't handle well, but it could get right on down the road.
Yeah.
It's going to have a motor in it that's not that much smaller than the motor in that big old truck. And it's going to weigh like 1/6 of what that truck weighs.
Yeah, right.
It's the reason I can never catch the kids. They can't run faster. They just weigh a lot less.
Yeah.
But I did think that it was a really intimidating truck, but I start to get pulled out of horror movies whenever like cars are an integral part of it for some reason. And it goes all the way back, I think, to it just pulled me way out of the original Halloween when Michael Myers drives a car. And there's something so like, it'd be like seeing a serial killer have to like stop and use the bathroom on his way to kill somebody. You know what I mean? It's just so weird. It's too humanizing. So whenever a car gets to be part of the lore, it's a little bit harder for me to buy into it. But if the story's good enough, I can. And that car did look nice and creepy.
Yeah, I think that's what made it like menacing, is that it wasn't a modern day car, that was running up on them like your typical road rage car, because it was so old and they couldn't see into it. They couldn't see the person that was driving it,
Now, another question for you. Is this car iconic enough that, like, if it was at a convention or something, you want to take your picture with it? Like, is it on
absolutely.
that level?
I feel like it has been at some of those horror conventions.
I just want to take my picture with that Dragula from the Rob Zombie music video.
Right.
So what would you do if you saw some kind of random person getting rid of a body when we were driving down a road? I mean, we've seen Wrong Turn recently, and we've talked about some of the roads we just drive because of where we live. Let's imagine we're like taking the back way over to Barbersville Park, and somewhere around those random houses, you just see somebody getting rid of a dead body. What do you do?
I do not think I would be... I'd probably like slow down and look, but if they turned to look at me, I'd be taken off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would turn around and go look to see if that's what I thought it was. But he really laid into her and made her feel guilty about, like, we need to go back. Don't you think that's the right thing to do, is to go back and see if that person's okay? No, I would do. Call the police.
I would do such a good job of the opposite. Like, if you wanted to go back, I'd be like, Karen, he was just getting rid of some old blank. Karen, you can't, the poor guy's probably out there just minding his business. And I would try everything in the world not to go back. And the reason wouldn't be because I didn't want to bother the guy. The reason would be because I would be afraid I'd be the next thing to get thrown out. I don't mess with serial killers very much.
What bothered me about that scene too is how they were slowly driving by, but it took them forever to drive by and watch what he's doing, long enough for him to turn around and look at him. And I swear, like, they were like, oh, take off and go. And then within, like, the next 10 seconds, he was already in the car and on their ass, like, pulling out. You saw him pulling out of the church, and you're like, I thought, 10 seconds ago that you had stepped on and you were way on down the road. Like, why was he right behind you, like, immediately? So that scene just took a little bit longer to
Now,
drag on.
before I watched the movie, you told me you were going to ask me something about the license plate. So what did you want to ask me about the license plate?
What did you think it said?
I thought it said "be eating you."
Yeah,
'Cause,
so
I mean, I know it's a scary movie,
well,
and
I know,
beating you
but they
isn't
didn't.
scary
They
enough.
didn't know that. But see, like,
Oh, if I saw it on the road, I would think it said "beating you." I would think the same thing.
That's
Justin
exactly
Long.
what they said because it passed them, and that's what he was trying to do, was pass them. But I think he was like looking at them and sniffing them out because later in the movie we find out that when he sees something that he likes or that he wants, then he's going to continue to go after it. So, but when he passed them, they're like, oh, he's just a road rager beating you. But I think it has two meanings. Like later on, you're like, oh, it's be eating you because he was eating people.
He definitely was.
Yeah, oh, gosh.
But just the fact that it's a scary movie, and you can kind of read the room, and I knew it wasn't going to be what they thought it was. Especially after he got that strange phone call in the diner that we don't know anything. We've never met this person.
Yeah,
we have no idea what's going on. We're as lost as Justin Long is. But he gets a phone call from a diner from somebody who knows details about him, and she tells him about things he's going to encounter in the future. And tries to warn him, but it's an ineffective warning. I mean, it's like, what if somebody called and said, look, I'm trying to help you. Don't go there today. And then they don't tell you what they're talking. Walmart, Target, where? I had 7 theirs to hit today. I can't blow off the whole day.
But like she says, she sees darkness and hears screaming, and he thinks that it's him. Or he thinks that it's him, but his sister thinks that it's her. And later we find out that it's her that she thought she had seen, but it really wasn't her. It was him.
Yeah.
So like they lead you to believe that it is not him, that she got it wrong, because they asked her, "Are your dreams ever wrong?"
And I think that they kind of gave us some reasons to think it was going to be her. You know what I mean? Like they really wanted to set her up to be, they were trying to lead our expectations down that pathway. But I kind of noticed that for the most part, the creeper seemed to be killing more guys than girls. And I don't know if there's something there, but I thought maybe he doesn't.
I mean, he has a masculine feel to him too, that like, you know what I mean? So maybe he's looking for more masculine things.
So that's why I thought it was going to be Justin Long, but also because it's a horror movie that I knew has a bunch of sequels, I thought maybe it wouldn't be Justin Long, because he's the kind of guy you can market a movie around maybe a little bit more than Gina Phillips, perhaps.
Yeah.
So I kind of expected him to live, even though I also kind of expected him to die.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I expected.
I didn't expect him to sacrifice himself, but I mean, because I think he kind of did. But I mean, he thinks he sacrificed himself for his sister, but it really was the creature wants what it wants.
Yeah.
And he liked what he saw, so.
Do you have any thoughts on the cat lady? The lady they meet
Oh my
that
gosh,
has a lot of
that
cats.
lady is somebody I know is familiar from other movies that I've seen. Yeah, she always plays this crazy person in those movies. She almost reminds me of Catherine O'Hara. Like an older Catherine O'Hara.
I think that might have been who she was reminding me of now that you say it, like from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
That era.
But she also, like, I know she's been in other movies where she, like, her voice is familiar. She's got that crazy hair, and I can't remember. I'll have to look her up. But, yeah, that was funny. Like, I don't know. That whole scene I thought was, like, not really necessary, but then it also like made sense to give it a little comedic feel with all the cats, and I guess the cats don't like that creature either.
Ooh, cats eat birds.
Yeah, well, the cats kind of like alerted. I think it helped keep the crows away, because the crows or the ravens or whatever those birds were, every time you heard them call, or make a sound, like it was kind of alerting. I felt like they were talking to each other, and maybe you're communicating with this creature somehow too. And so I think the cats kept those birds away And so I
I
think
could see
that's what
that.
kept the creature from visiting her, or even knowing that she was there. They were kind of like protective.
Once the creature starts hurting her kitties and she turns around with that shotgun
Oh,
and
and she
she's going
runs
into
inside.
combating one-on-one, that was just so funny.
Yeah.
I can't help it. That was over the top, and I was
Yeah.
there for it a little bit. And then, of course,
And then it
poor
took her a
old,
long time to die. The
poor old
huge
cat
shotgun
lady.
blast for
Yeah.
like 3 shotgun blasts or something, and she's still standing there alive. And I'm like, okay, that wouldn't happen.
I love stuff like that. I
Yeah.
just got to say, I love stuff like
Yeah.
that. Can you remember how long it took you to realize that the creeper wasn't human? Because I knew before I ever saw it that the creeper wasn't human, but I realized when I'm watching it that it's set up in a way to make you think this is a human character for a while. So if when you saw it for the first time, I imagine you didn't know it was a creature.
No, I knew that it wasn't human. I mean, it had this supernatural like feel to it. And they did set it up to make it look like it because he had on like a mask, he had on a hat. He didn't have all this other stuff. But I figured out later, I guess, that he was a creature when he landed on top of the police car.
That's when
When
I
he could
was
fly. And
that's
then it was kind of like,
yeah.
okay.
That's exactly when I thought, this is probably what they intended to be the reveal was when he lands on the car. But then they have another moment that they treat like it's a reveal, which confused me because they've already revealed it.
Yeah.
But when the sister just runs over him like
Yeah.
100 times and then they show what his
You didn't know what kind of creature he was. Like,
yeah, you know what? That's a good point
Yeah.
because they already revealed that he was supernatural, but then this is giving us a
Mhm.
good look at that it's a
It
bird-like
was very
monster.
like demony, like a vampire. You know how they say like some vampires have like the bat wings?
Well, like,
like that.
the last voyage of the Demeter, what was that called? Remember?
Yeah.
That's what the vampire looked like in
Mhm.
there too.
Almost like a gargoyle type that
Oh,
you know what I mean?
The coloration and everything, gargoyle is what the creeper is.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you calling it a gargoyle.
Yeah, but you did but that was all covered up in with the when he had the jacket on. Like you didn't know he had wings that like extended out and stuff, so until she ran over him.
Now, part of some of the car scenes that we get to see with the creeper, though,
Mhm.
there's one where they keep trying to run over the creeper, and he keeps like dancing across the top of the car,
Yeah.
basically, like just woo 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 woo. It's really kind of fake looking wire work done with the stuntman, and I can't tell if I hate it or if I love it because. Those things will get so ridiculous that I can't help but embrace it. But this is right on that verge where I'm not sure if I love it or hate it.
Which car is he running on top of?
I think it might be police. I don't remember which cars, but he like just runs across them like his toes barely touch the tops of the cars, and it almost looks like a gag you'd see in Dumb and Dumber or
I
something.
don't remember that part. Where was that part at?
It was when someone was trying to hit him with a car. I can't give you a
I
timestamp.
knew he had landed on top of the car, but I
No,
didn't
there's
think
a
he was
different time
running
they're
on-
trying to hit him, and he just runs over it, and then they back up, and he just runs over it the other direction. Then he does a flip over it.
Oh, maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
I
to that
think you
part.
weren't paying attention, but I can't give you
Was
any
that
more
at
details.
the police station?
No, it was on a road. That's all
Okay.
I can tell you. I don't remember the details. I remember the scene.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
remember what car was involved with that. Was it
I
their
don't
car?
remember.
Is
Okay,
it
you'll
just-
have to rewatch.
I know. I'm
it.
just saying. Like, was it just a random car? Was it the kids that were in the car? Like, were they involved in this scene, or was it just a scene with just him and just some random cars?
I remember it better than you do, but I
Okay.
don't remember well enough to tell you the answer to those questions.
Okay, because I don't remember that scene at all.
Are you
but-
accusing me of making it up?
No, I'm
Okay,
not.
'cause
I
it
just
sounds
don't
like you
remember
are.
that scene at all, and I feel like I know the movie pretty well.
Shall we pause recording and let me show it to you?
No.
And then
No.
you say, why do you? Okay.
I know.
Because I watched it, I guess, more recently than you.
No, I watched it yesterday too.
Okay. Any thoughts on the psychic lady when we finally meet her?
She didn't look like what I thought she would look like, I guess, but I don't know what I was expecting. Really, she just was like a regular old like homely person. You know, she
Yeah.
didn't have any of the typical psychic things with all the crystals and all that stuff. You know what I mean. She could see into the future, but she didn't have all this weird like extra stuff, or I don't know. I just feel like she didn't live in a house that had that kind of stuff, or like it's really like the crystals and things that people, all the voodoo,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean, I just thought she was just a regular person, which was it was not expecting
You
that
were
at all.
expecting like a Miss. What was the lady from the
Yeah.
Magic School Bus? Miss Frizzle or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that, or like Professor Trelawney from Harry Potter or something. Somebody that's like got big glasses and big eyes and like just scraggly hair and just wasn't very like well kept. But she just was just a normal townsperson. So
Do you have any thoughts on the creature design? Because as the movie unfolds, we get lots of really good looks of the creature with its gray kind of fuzzy skin. Like it looks wet and moist sometimes, but then it's got like small hairs that almost look like down in
yeah,
other parts.
yeah. I think the wings on its back were interesting. Reminded me of a bat.
Yeah, they were very membranous.
But then also when he like screamed and this stuff here on the side was very like predator like. It was like wiggling.
Yeah, it
You
did
know what I
open
mean?
way up like Predator, or there was like a little dinosaur that spit poison or something in Jurassic Park that would
Yeah.
do like that.
Um, I thought that was interesting. And then also when he was in the jail, when he was eating that guy or ripping off the body parts because he had to fix his leg. Remember, he had
Yeah,
to eat
yeah.
that leg so that the leg would like grow into
Right.
his own leg. You saw him like just kind of hunched over, and you heard the noise, but his back was kind of like, I don't know, he was kind of like gagging. It sounded like when he was like eating it. You know what I mean?
It probably wasn't like what he wanted, but he had to eat it anyway. You know,
Yeah.
like he'll get kind of like, a vampire would get the scent of someone and they would rather kill them than anyone else. And it's
Yeah.
like that. But he's got to force himself to tolerate this low grade government meat instead of that
Yeah.
sweet college meat. I don't know. That sounded
Well,
way grosser than I intended it
I
to.
also feel like he had that mask on, and I think he was kind of like a bat. He used like echolocation to figure out what was going on because he was blind. I'm absolutely sure he was blind.
I know that he wanted eyes, and I think that's
I
the
think
whole
because
point
he
of the
was
title.
blind, he had to eat things in order to become more human-like. He wanted eyes. He wanted to be able to see, so
And
he
that's
ate
why it's
Justin Long's eyes.
Jeepers Creepers. Where'd you get those peepers?
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
I think he liked his beautiful brown eyes because at the end when he like did the close up, you're like, oh, okay.
Now, according to Justin Long, that
Mm-hmm.
scene where he's peeing underneath the cypress tree, Spanish moss, whatever kind of tree that is, he said that was real, that wasn't fake. He really had to pee, and they just got a scene of him peeing.
Pretty cool. So then I guess they got his sister peeing too because she was squatting down.
I
out in the
don't think
field.
she was really peeing. She was just
No,
squatting
but they
down.
just like just to make it look like it was.
So I guess Justin Long that's good acting, right? When you can pee on command. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you already kind of referenced the ending. I want to know what you think of this ending, because this is a wickedly bleak ending, and I'm not used to a whole lot of bleak endings from franchise horror movies. Usually they kind of have that ending where you defeat the killer, and this one, everybody just lost. The killer got his way.
Yeah.
That final shot of him looking through Justin Long's eyeless face, and then you see Justin Long's own eyes looking through the empty skin as they're in the creeper's head.
Yeah.
I like a good bleak ending, but boy, it makes it a bummer because I went to sleep right after I watched it or something.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. When they carried him off and the sister was standing there like watching you. She looked like, I mean, she was upset and she saw him going, but she swore that she was gonna try to save him. But they had no idea where he went because the church had burned down, so he wasn't going back to that place. So he had a second place to go to, and so I don't know. I wasn't expecting where he ended up. It was like like a refinery. I think down in the very bottom of some kind of old refinery, and you hear the screaming, and you think that maybe he's going to get out. But then when they show what he's actually doing, and then you see Justin Long's skin and his eyes, it's like, oh, he was completely skinned. Ugh.
It was bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, I liked the ending, but I really thought, I thought he was going to get out.
I did not expect such a bleak ending.
Yeah.
The research, again, that I did suggested that because this is written very recently after the release of the Blair Witch Project, and the Blair Witch Project has that dismal ending where nobody survives.
Yeah.
And that they decided they wanted to have a Blair Witch type ending because they thought that was going to be the new trend or new popular way to end movies. But I don't think a whole lot of things jumped on that just bottomless pit feeling of despair at the end of a movie.
Yeah. But also, I think with what the psychic lady was saying about this creature, like they set this up really well to have more sequels, even though they're not as good as this first one. But the way the story was told, where he comes out every 23 years, and for 23 days he feeds just to become more human-like, but then he goes back into hibernation, I guess, which I think is strange, and then he comes back out, and...
Is it 23 years?
It's 23 years.
Oh, for some reason I was thinking it was every 23 days.
No.
I totally had that wrong.
No, it's every 23 years for 23 days he eats, and he just eats things to make his body whole. But then what is the purpose? Like, he does that to become more human, but then he goes back into hibernation, and then 23 years later he comes back out and he has to do the same thing over again. So I don't understand like what the point
is.
A
cicada.
Like, he's gotta eat. Yeah, I bet he's gotta eat people.
I like that. He comes out whenever the biggest brood of cicada come out.
But he also like doesn't throw the bodies away. That was a disturbing part, was how he preserved the bodies after he took what he wanted from them. And then he's like an artist, the way he like stitched the two students. Remember the story about how the two students from Wheaton College were missing? And, 20 some years ago is what they said.
Yeah.
And they all just thought it was just a scary story, but it was real. And that's what Justin Long, when he was down in that underground cave and he's looking up and he actually sees Wheaton on the ring. And then the two of them, I guess, were like boyfriend and girlfriend. And the guy the creature had like stitched their arms together with their hands bound.
One thing I didn't understand is why weren't the bodies decomposed or mummified or anything?
I don't know. He said it was kind of like wax. It really was like wax. If you looked at them, it was more like a, remember he was standing there and the stuff was dripping. Yeah. All I could think about was that it was some kind of oil, like some kind of...
like a mineral oil?
Yeah, like because it was just dripping off of them from the ceiling. It wasn't like sweat or anything, but it was just
like the stuff that forms stalactites or whatever.
Yeah, and so those people had been there a long time. Like the two students had been there at least 23 years, but there were people all over. I think that was probably one of the most disturbing scenes was... And I could see it when he finally came into the like clearing, and it was kind of fuzzy in the background. Like, those are bodies on that back wall. And then he turns around and is just like, oh my goodness, there's bodies everywhere.
Now, did you pick up on any themes in this movie? Is it okay if
I would think one of them, like for myself, would be like that very first scene where they're driving by that church and they're slowing down, like, mind your own business. How about you just keep
That's
going?
The exact same theme I had, was people ought to mind their own dadgum business.
Yeah. Stop rubbernecking and just keep going.
If somebody tells you who they are, believe them, because that guy told you he's a psychopathic killer.
Yeah.
You should have believed him and steered clear of him, not go harass the guy.
Right.
Have you seen that movie Girl Interrupted? Don't point your finger at crazy people.
Well, they could... I think it was the lady. Somebody said, no, it might have been Justin Long, said he knows that I was down there. Like, he could smell me. He could tell that I was down there. And that's why he came after them, because they invaded his space. I think if they had just kept going, they would have been just fine. Maybe. I don't know. Like,
hard to say.
I know. Because how long did it take for the creeper to discover what he wanted from Justin Long? He didn't see his eyes when he went down there. Was it when he looked at him from...
Well, if the creeper needed eyes, he can't see the eyes. That's why he was sniffing clothes. And I think something about his aroma let the creeper know that those
That
eyes
it was
were
a
good
dude
eyes.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the creeper was
You're
using
right. You're
sniffing
right.
for everything because he was blind as a bat.
Did you notice at the beginning of the movie though? So remember when they passed that Winnebago, that big RV on the
Yeah,
road?
yeah. When he thought it said "gay for days" or something like
Yes,
that.
yes. So it ended up being sexy for days or something.
Oh man.
So anyway, they passed the RV, and then there's a shot of the two of them talking. If you look through the car and see what's happening behind them, you see the RV get run off the road. Did you see that part?
I
Did
did
you
see
recognize that?
I saw that the RV had been run off the
The
road.
RV like just went and just like ran off
Yeah,
the
I did
road,
see
and
that.
then behind them came that truck.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think the truck ran them off the road.
I think it's pretty likely.
Yeah, and at first when he threw the bodies down in that the pipe, I thought it might have been the old man and the old woman that were in the RV, but it ended up being somebody he had already been working on.
I just assumed it was the people in the RV too.
Yeah.
So when he like pulls the sheet down and it's that kind of younger guy that
Yeah.
I didn't have any like I thought, am I supposed to know who this is? Because I didn't know who it was.
Well, so that refinery might have been like an old like textile mill or something, because he was like sewing. Remember when he was sitting there and you could hear like
Yeah.
a sewing machine going, like the old pedal kind. I think he was doing something with the skins and making the people there at the refinery and then wrapping them up and taking them to the other location. So he had already had those bodies in the back of that truck, but he had already come from wherever he was doing all the work at. Do you see what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
that's the two locations. One he was doing work at, the other one he was throwing the bodies in, and he was making like some piece of artwork on the walls.
Did you have a favorite kill?
Oh.
I had a favorite kill.
Do you like the lady?
Yeah,
The old lady?
the cat lady.
The
That's
cat
my
lady
favorite kill
dying.
for sure. It was just funny and
Yeah.
fun, and it was drawn out, and it was tense, and I did not want the cat lady to die for some reason.
Yeah.
And I wanted the cat lady to also be a little more significant to the story since she was a warning on the telephone.
Yeah.
But when she died, I thought that was my favorite kill. There's a lot of decapitations, but none of them stuck out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about like the police scene. Some of that stuff was like you knew that the guy, when he turned around, that he was going to get killed by the creature there. I thought the one with the cat lady was funny, but that probably wasn't my favorite. I don't. By the creature himself. I kind of like the one where the kid was already down in the pipe, and Justin Long went down there and
Yeah, that was
like it
pretty
grabbed
good.
him, and then like just the coloration in his face, like how his lips were really purple and he was already kind of deadish looking.
What about the one where the creeper picked up the decapitated head and bit the tongue?
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't like that part.
I found that
I
unnecessary.
felt it was
could've done
kind of
without it.
gross, but it was like what was he looking for? Was he pulling the guy's tongue out because he wanted that tongue?
I think that's what it was. Is he needed a tongue?
Yeah.
And then I went and saw the Chainsaw Man movie, which has a very similar scene. And I was like, that is too much for one weekend.
The way it stretched was just like, I don't know. That was a little disturbing too. It kind of reminded me of like some kind of candy or something.
Did you have a favorite shot?
Yes.
What's your favorite shot?
My absolute favorite shot, which I think was just beautiful work, was when Justin Long went down in the tunnel. And he
I love
when he
that
hits
shot.
the ground
I
and he kind
love
of
that
bounces
shot.
off the ground, but then it's showing his sister looking down at him, and then when she's looking down at him, it's just him laying on the ground, and it's just a perfect circle of light.
And
he's just laying there.
They get just a little bit of slow motion movement before he touches down or
Yes.
whatever. And I wondered how they got that when I was watching it. But yes, that
I thought maybe he
shot-
was standing up against a wall and he just kind of
That shot
you know.
stuck out so much to me that it's my
Yes.
second favorite.
Oh,
But my favorite is when the creeper is silhouetted by the moon and he's holding a decapitated head with the tongue in his mouth, stretching
eh.
the tongue out.
No,
I
no,
love
see,
stuff like
that's just
that.
that's easy to create. Like this
But,
other one was
but
just
you
art,
gotta create
but
it.
this one is just artistically just the light of the tunnel is the only thing that lights up like Justin Long, and I don't know. There's just something about it. I just really enjoyed that part.
I think that yours is definitely the more artistic shot. Mine is I love it because no one else is brave enough to shoot that.
Yeah.
It would take a convicted sex offender to shoot that.
my
I'm
goodness.
sorry. I can't help but say that. What would you give this movie for a scare grade? Is Jeepers Creepers extra creepy to you?
It is. I give it an A, and I just I love it.
I love the way you
also,
smiled
like,
there too. I love to see your enjoyment come out.
I definitely gave this one an A just because
That's so good.
at the time I could like relate to it because of the age of the kids, you know, when I watched it. But then also like there's just something about I have road rage too, but there's just something about like driving, kind of like wrong turns. There's just something about driving that's just it is scary, especially
Yeah.
if somebody comes flying up on you and you don't know who they are, you can't see what they're, you know, who's in the car. But I think the like what's unnerving too is that you don't recognize the car, that it's an older model car, and like just out of nowhere, they just came out of nowhere, and I don't know. I think
it's just like
it's
Wrong
just something
Turn.
about like being in a car.
It's a better story, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Better story. I prefer a lot of things about this to Wrong Turn, but it's that same scary factor.
Yeah.
And when the story's better, it makes it scarier. Something about that truck felt familiar to me from
Yeah.
Appalachia.
But it also kind of reminds me of like, what is that movie with Lily Sobieski where
I don't know,
she's
but my scare grade is an A.
okay,
Okay, now go ahead.
the one with Lily Sobieski and Paul Walker where they're coming home from college and
I
they get
haven't
chased
seen-
down by a truck driver.
I haven't seen that, but I,
I
know
can't
the
remember
movie
what
you're
that
talking
one is
about.
called,
I
but
don't know.
that one is like that's scary too. I mean, it's all just the like just being in a car and
Is that Bad Trip, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know, maybe something like that. I don't know.
So, if you have to pick on a scale of 0 to 5 pumpkins, what is your pumpkin rating for
5.
Jeepers?
This one gets like thumbs up everything. Like I just absolutely love this movie.
This is definitely in your wheelhouse, and I
Yes.
can see everything that you like about it. 5 pumpkins is a bit much for me, but I'm definitely going to go a solid 4 on it. And
If you
highly
had seen
recommend.
it 20 years ago, I think you would have had a different feeling about it.
But if I saw it 20 years from now, I probably will think I'm seeing it for the first time because I won't remember it.
Something
don't know
about
where
the
it was going
song
with
too, like because they played that song quite a
Oh,
bit and all
yeah.
different kinds of versions on the radio. Every time I hear that song, like I'll sing it, and you'll sing it too. I
Yeah.
know, like we've walked
Old-timey-
around just
old-
Jeepers
Old-timey
Creepers.
music's kind of creepy too.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's popular in horror games and movies and TV shows and stuff. All right, well, that's it. We got our pumpkin ratings, we got our scare grades, our favorite shots. We did it all, and it only took us a brisk 48 minutes, Karen.
goodness.
So I just want to say to everybody, don't ever give up. Make art, consume art, do what you love what you do.